game object back for the projectile. What we can do, we no longer want him to do damage if he's within that zone. So we're going to remove these two lines because we're not going to be damaging him. What we are going to be changing though, let me see, animation can be fine, attack time. So what we can do, we call this, we can take our game object. I like doing it a little backwards because we're able to allow, or to add a couple more. We'll do it normally, so we'll just instantiate for now. So we'll instantiate the, I want to say this is going to be our projectile. So projectile, we're going to need a transform as well. So let's go ahead and let's add that. We'll say public transform with a capital T. And we'll call this our shoot point, just for simplicity reasons. Alright, come back down here, inside of our instantiation, after the projectile, so we're spawning the game object. We're going to want it to come out of the shoot points dot transform dot position. And we're also going to want it to do probably the same rotation, so fire point. Technically it's shoot point. I'm looking at the other script. Shoot point dot, is this a transform? Since this is a transform, we technically don't need the transform dot position because it's already identified as one. And then we could just say rotation for this. That shouldn't give us any issues. Okay, that's just spawning the projectile. Now we have to get access to the rigid body that would be attached to it. So then, yeah, we would want to do this then. We'll make an additional variable for this. So we'll say game object, and we'll say projectile, no, not vial. We'll just say vial for now, or jar, because that's technically what he's going to be shooting. And we're setting that jar to be our projectile. What we can do after that is go ahead and say we're going to grab the rigid body off of it, off of the jar, rigid body, and then we'll just say RB, let's give it a simple variable name. Our jar, we're going to grab its component, going to grab the rigid body off of it, and then off of that rigid body, we're going to add force. I want to say, no, not that. Shoot point. It really just wants, there we go. Okay, shoot point dot, let's see what other options we have. Forward, up. We can try up for now. We'll see how this works. So we'll say up, and then we're going to have to make a new variable for the throw force, and then we're going to apply some new force, if I could spell correctly. I'm going to impulse it out. Alright, and then we have an error here, simple fix, generate a private vector. No, we don't want it to be a vector, we want it to be a float technically. So we'll throw it after here. We'll say public float throw force. And then for now, we'll just set this to be like 20. Okay. So now, when that distance is less than the stopping distance, we're going to stop him and we're going to attack. Now in this new attack method, we still have the cooldown, and then we additionally have him throwing the jar. So we're creating a new variable for a jar. We're setting it to be the instantiated or the cloned projectile. Coming out of our shoot point position and rotation, we are grabbing the rigid body that we're gonna actually have on our part here. Let me see, and then we're gonna add force to our actual projectile. Pretty straightforward. Let's see, so we have an animator. We don't have the projectile or the shoot point yet. So then what we can do is create the shoot point on him first. I hate when it does that. It changes my camera to isometric. Come over here, shaman, open up his root, hips. I'm just gonna kind of throw this empty game point on his hand. So let me think, right shoulder, elbow, hand. All right, so what I could do is create a new empty game object, and we'll call this our shoot point. If I could spell. Click our shaman, throw our shoot point under here. Now we gotta work on the projectile for him. Close that, we can save our game. All right, so now that we have the projectile, we're gonna go ahead and add a rigid body onto this. That's gonna allow us to add some gravity to that. This guy, I guess we could just name this to like shaman poison vial. Okay, override, let's apply that to that. So now what we can do is click on our shaman and drag in, okay, I was gonna say, why is it white? Could drag in this new projectile. Boom, bottle number 4. All right, so then what we can do from there, let's go ahead and test this out. I'm gonna delete this. We have a rigid body on it. We have him, let's see, apply our changes to that. Let's move you back because you're stopping distance. So it's set at a 2 right now. I'm gonna set it to like a 5, give him a radius, right? And then what we can do is just move you back for now. And then let's go ahead and play the game and let's see if we can get this guy shooting stuff. Alright.
I'm not leaving, boss. Come on.
Let's see. So the shaman gets close. Ooh, okay. So there that bottle goes. It's just going in the wrong direction.
Okay.
Let's go ahead then. Turn that up. Go here. And then now he should be a little bit more on tact. Obviously, it's going to take some changing. So let's see. So the projectiles are shooting out. They're just shooting out in the wrong direction. So you can see it. A bunch of clones. And then obviously we would add some additional stuff to the actual projectile so that once it lands or, you know, collides with something, it spawns that that poison. But for now, we'll leave him as is. See. Okay, so what if put it like a 0.5? That's gonna take some just trial and error, so I'm gonna have to figure that one out on my own. Oh. Okay. Okay. Kinda. Nah, then he loses track. Alright. But for now, we got our projectile guy kind of working. Shaman. Let's go ahead and change your cooldown. So we'll say what, 1.10. It is a float, so that should register correctly.